Many thanks for joining us, and we continue with our conversation tonight with CS Eliud Owalo. Bwana Waziri, a question coming in here about the status of the digitization of government services.
Yes.
Is the success just about collecting revenue or actual service delivery?
You see, we have got two aspects of this digitalization agenda. One, we want to migrate all services from manual processes to virtual services. When we came into government, I mentioned a while ago that we only had a meager 350 services on the eCitizen platform. Today, we have managed to digitalize 12,642 services. The intention here is to facilitate virtual consumption of government services. In the not too distant future, we have got no rationale to ask members of the public to physically visit government offices to consume these services. We are migrating all services to virtual platforms, and we want citizens to be able to consume these government services from the comfort of wherever they are.
Yeah.
And that is why, again, we have proactively gone ahead to ensure that a critical mass of Kenyans can have affordable, smart-enabled telephones to enable them virtually consume the government services. Again, that is why we are pursuing the digital identity, to ensure that there is a virtual means through which government can confirm that you are whom you claim to be, as opposed to flashing a physical identity card. Okay? So the intention, one, is to facilitate virtual consumption of government services. But again, we have been having a lot of revenue leakages in government through manual payment systems. And we are saying that moving forward, all government payments will be done electronically through one payment platform gateway, the 22222. And since this was done, this directive was given, we have recognized about 95% compliance level. All government ministries and parastatals have largely conformed to this, apart from a few cases which we are still sorting out, like Kenya Power, which require quite a bit of integration to be done. And those are just exceptional cases which are being handled. But also correspondingly, the revenue levels have shot from, on average, about 60 million shillings per day up to about 900 and almost 1 billion shillings per day. What is the lesson that you are learning from this? The lesson we are learning from this is that we had a lot of revenue leakages within the system because of manual processes. And that is why we are determined to pursue this digitalization agenda as government to a logical conclusion, so that we seal all revenue leakages. This is the only way we will ensure that anybody and everybody who is supposed to pay tax gets into the tax bucket. It is the only way that we can enhance our level of domestically generated revenue. And if we go this route, Lilian, we should be able to collect adequate resources, not just to facilitate payment of our external debt, but also to finance both our development and recurrent expenditure.
Right, you're talking about revenue leakages and curbing that, but I just want to loop you back into the fact that, you know, service delivery has somewhat been compromised. Thousands are still waiting for their passports after delays, and there's also been, you know, reports of delayed marriage certificates. Back to the passport issue, there's said to be unavailable booklets. So in terms of the service delivery, even as
those are exceptional cases, because actually most of these services are supposed to be available real time within a maximum of 48 hours. Apart from exceptional cases, and those are isolated cases, service delivery has tremendously improved in government as a result of digitalization. We have targeted the Ministry of Lands. We have unclogged the land registry system. We have targeted the Ministry of Health. We are coming up with a health management system, which is currently undergoing piloting. We are strengthening the Kenya Revenue Authority systems. We are strengthening the immigration department by way of digitalization, so that we can fast track the issuance of passports, and even Kenyans who are out of the country can actually apply for and receive passports without necessarily having to travel to Kenya. We are also fast tracking issues to do with border control.
Now, on government services, again, after the cyber attack on the eCitizen platform, Bwana Waziri, is there a risk mitigation framework? How will you ensure that data security and privacy concerns don't undermine the sustainability of
what happened on that eCitizen issue is that there was an attempted attack on the eCitizen platform. And what happened is that the alleged attackers made over and above ordinary requests to the eCitizen platform to clog the system. Ordinarily, the requests that were received at that point in time, you'll find that requests which they made from that IP address within a period of 2 hours were requests that ordinarily the eCitizen platform would receive in a period of 3 days. So this slowed down the system. There was a downtime, and this issue anomaly was corrected after about 2.5 days. They did not have any access to data. So data privacy, data security was not infringed because of the mitigation framework around the eCitizen platform and other virtual platforms within government. So moving forward, what we have done is to strengthen the risk mitigation framework. As I mentioned earlier, we will not stop digitalization because of cyber insecurity. Cyber insecurity is the world over. What we need to do is to enhance or strengthen our risk mitigation framework around our platforms so that we do not have a due exposure to cyber attacks. And that is work in progress, and it's a continuous thing. The more you digitalize, the more you get exposed, but also simultaneously or correspondingly, the more you need to strengthen your risk mitigation framework around your platforms.
Right, and Waziri, unpack the digital superhighway. On fiber optic network, what gains have been made to provide high-speed connectivity? And I'm talking about in terms of radius, I'm talking about in the deep rural areas. What gains have been made? In that digital superhighway, there are several things that we set out to do by virtue of the mandate that we have been tasked to execute as a ministry. One, we have got a target of 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable over the next 5 years. As we speak, we have rolled out 5,000, an additional 8,514 kilometers. There was a slow start because of procurement processes and issues to do with money which we are pursuing. As we speak, we have gotten some financing from the World Bank, courtesy of the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Program. We have also gotten another 5 billion shillings from the Universal Service Fund. We have onboarded contractors. So we expect quite some progress in that functional domain so that we meet the envisaged annual targets. In terms of internet connectivity, we have got a target of establishing and operationalizing 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. As we speak, we have already established 1,241 Wi-Fi hotspots. We started off by rolling out this through our ICTA, our agency. But moving forward, we are partnering with the private sector. We have onboarded private sector service providers to help us fast-track the rollout of this. We have onboarded 16 of them. We have gotten into arrangement through which they are going to utilize excess capacity within our NOFB infrastructure, and we expect that they will not just roll out the Wi-Fi, install the Wi-Fi, but they'll also offer maintenance in those areas where they operate of the Wi-Fi so that we don't have downtime in the Wi-Fi as has been witnessed in the recent past. And what specific locations and what's the radius of a hotspot?
The radius, first of all, the capacity is 100 megabytes. The radius ordinarily is about 150 meters.
We're looking at locations such as when you say public
we have rolled out Wi-Fi everywhere. In Nairobi, the city market, we have done Wi-Fi. Mudhura market, we have done Wi-Fi. Kenyatta market, we have done Wi-Fi. In Nyeri, we have done Wi-Fi at the bus stop. In Maua, we have done the same. In Nyanza, we have done at Bondo. We have done at Ahero. In Western, we have done in Bungo. We have been all over the place. We have done in Ukambani. We have actually installed Wi-Fis in Makueni, in Kitui. Yeah. In Mombasa, we have installed Wi-Fi at the market there, actually.
And what has been the ripple effect of this on, say, e-commerce?
You see, the rationale of this public Wi-Fi is to get people who hitherto were not involved in any economic activity to be involved in economic activity. If we install Wi-Fis at the market, we expect that this will facilitate our mothers and sisters who are involved in itinerary trade at the market to onboard by way of e-commerce and get involved in gainful economic activity. In the world of today, you don't need to have a physical interface between the buyer of a commodity and the seller of a commodity. And this is what we are facilitating. We are also targeting bus termini, where our youth are usually domiciled, idling around. We want them to get involved in gainful economic activity by facilitating internet connectivity.
And I'd asked you about how you plan and how your ministry plans to narrow the digital divide, because there still remains concerns about the digital literacy of a significant part of the population. So how to onboard them as opposed to exclude them?
you see, connectivity is only useful if it is universal, if it is all-inclusive. And this is one thing that we are trying to do through our digital skilling program. As we enhance our digital infrastructure, correspondingly, we are also enhancing the level of our digital skills. As we speak, as far as the youth is concerned, we have already trained a whopping 390,000 youth over the past 1 year alone. And correspondingly also, because our ultimate objective is also to ensure that the youth get involved in jobs, digital jobs, because that's the only frontier we have. We have got limited number of white-collar jobs. We have managed to create, within the past 1 year, 119,000 digital jobs. What we are doing...
Locally?
Yes, locally here. What we are doing is that we are not just stopping at the training. We are providing the devices, we are facilitating the training, but as government, again, deliberately, we are going out to connect the youth with global technological companies. So in the TVETs where we started off from, by way of the pilot phase, you have got youth who are resident here in Kenya, but they are working for companies in America, in Belgium, in the UK, in India, Singapore, just to mention but a few. But moving forward, we are going to achieve fundamental progress in this domain. We are partnering with members of parliament through the CDF to ensure that in each and every ward in this country, we are going to have a digital hub. We have already facilitated, working in partnership with members of parliament, amendment to the CDF Act, which has culminated in a situation where 3% of the annual budgetary provision for CDF can be utilized for construction of premises where we can install the devices and also meeting of recurrent expenditure like costs like electricity. So what we are going to do is that we will work with members of parliament to ensure that in each and every ward, one, they give us the premises. Yeah, we go ahead and install the devices. We facilitate the training for free as government, and then we connect the youth to digital jobs.
Are these digital skills only targeting the youth?
No, nothing could be further from the truth. Because, for example, if we are migrating services to the digital platform on the eCitizen, it is not only the youth who are consuming those services. Largely, it is actually the adults who are consuming the services. So we are also embarking progressively on training of adults and even public officers to upscale their skills.
And who will meet the recurrent expenditures such as electricity, even as you talk about setting up digital laboratories in TVETs, digital hubs in the villages, talking about the population acquiring digital skills, but in terms of the recurrent expenditure, looking at electricity being a major cost.
It is a major cost. It's an integral component, but the amounts involved are not insurmountable. The amounts involved are 2,000 to 3,000 shillings per month in a digital hub or in a market. We have come up with a framework where if we set up a digital hub in a ward, then the members of parliament through the CDF will help us meet the cost of electricity. We have also had consultations with the county governments through a different line of partnership, where if we set up an internet hotspot in a market, then the county governments will help us meet the cost of electricity. One of the challenges we have been facing is that we connect the internet hotspots. Then at some point in time, after maybe 2 to 3 months, you find that the market associations start defaulting on meeting the cost of electricity, and then the internet is what? The internet goes down. That has been a challenge. So in a sustainable manner, we are getting on into those two levels of partnership, with the county government on one hand and the CDF through the members of parliament on the other.
Okay.
For purposes of sustainability.
And again, an update, even as we talk about your 1 year in office or the virtual university in Konza City.
Yes.
How many students have enrolled? Where are we at as regards this virtual university uptake, interest? And
actually, that is one of the fundamental contributing components of Konza to our digital transformation agenda so far. Through the Konza cloud infrastructure, we have set up the virtual university, the open university. As we speak, the first enrollment level, we already have about 1,500 students who have enrolled. And this is a game changer because drastically it's going to reduce the cost of education. And two, it facilitates a situation where somebody can actually get into a class from wherever they are. A matatu driver can, while waiting for passengers, actually log into a class. So that is actually work in progress. But if you allow me also, Lillian, when we are still there, apart from this virtual university, let me also illustrate certain fundamental contributing components of Konza to our digitalization agenda. whenever we talk of Konza, people think of Konza as a white elephant, not knowing that there's quite a fundamental progress that has gone on at Konza. One, we have already rolled out the horizontal infrastructure. In terms of the road network, the water, the electricity, and so on, all that is in place. We have got a fully fledged data center at Konza, where as we speak, we have already onboarded data of 53 MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, and another 19 private sector entities who are already storing their data at Konza. Okay. So the basic infrastructure at Konza is already in place. Moving forward, we have got the KAIST University, which is about 20% complete in terms of the construction. That will be another major investment. We are looking at a situation where we are going to have a digital media city at Konza. So all we are appealing for is for the private sector to come in and invest within Konza. Yeah. We believe that Konza will be our own version of the Silicon Savannah. And it will help us position Kenya effectively as the ICT hub of Africa.
Right. A viewer saying there was confusion when the president awarded completion certificates to Kenyans who took online classes at Arizona University, and yet the virtual university at Konza is essentially supposed to be doing the same thing.
But it has just started. The one at Konza has just started.
And these certificates were just issued the other day.
Yeah, but that certificates are initiated, with all due respect, Lillian.
It was a month long.
Hold on.
You already said there's been an intake of about how many students?
Certificates are issued on completion of a course.
Yes.
We are just registering and enrolling the first batch of students. They have not graduated yet.
But why then divert the population towards a foreign entity when we have the same here, which is the virtual university at Konza?
Those certificates were issued on the basis of completion. We have just enrolled the first batch of our students. We have not even, they have just embarked on their lessons. So we are not at the level of issuing certificates yet. So there's no contradiction here.
Just clarification that we already have an institute here where perhaps the attention should be drawn to.
Yes. And moving forward, we will be able to do that locally.
Okay.
Yeah, through the KAIST.
You had talked about revitalizing the KBC, and we talked about that. And I want now to move to revitalizing the Postal Corporation of Kenya, which is the oldest parastatal in the country, Waziri. And the Auditor General says the PCK is in debt. Same issue that we're seeing with the KBC as well. And, you know, just the other day we saw that the accumulated pending bills led to delays in salaries of up to 5 months. Now, in terms of revitalizing the Postal Corporation of Kenya and resuscitating it financially, where, again, the question, will this money come from?
Let me tell you one thing. It's a question of creativity and innovation. To begin with, there's nothing wrong with being in debt. All countries are in debt. So there's nothing wrong with a given parastatal being in debt. What is wrong is being in debt and doing nothing about it to elevate the situation. For a start, we had 5 months salary arrears. As at December, we managed to pay 435 million shillings salary arrears for a period of 5 months. And I've given instructions to the management and board of Postal Corporation of Kenya that moving forward, I don't want to see any salary delays. The first line item in any expenditure should be the staff salaries. So that will be actually now a historical issue. But in terms of sustainability, we have to remodel our operations at Postal Corporation. We have to move away from the traditional courier business and pursue e-commerce. For your information, we have already, as a ministry, working with the relevant stakeholders, come up with a national addressing system policy and bill that would facilitate e-commerce. We are progressing it to cabinet, and subsequent to getting the necessary approvals, it will go to parliament for purposes of enactment into law. But what we are saying is that the critical success factor for Posta moving forward is to pursuit of e-commerce. We want to turn Postal Corporation into an e-commerce and logistics hub in this country. We are already engineering our operations by facilitating last-mile deliveries of essential items from various government ministries and agencies. We have already gotten into partnership with the Department of Immigration. Posta is facilitating delivery of passports. We have already gotten into agreement with KEMSA. We are doing last-mile deliveries of medical supplies, just to mention a few, which has tremendously improved the revenue base of the Postal Corporation. So it's a question of re-engineering our business operations in line with the demands of the operational environment.
Yeah, and how long would this take to revamp? Because the world has already moved forward. There's an accelerated digital migration. We're living in the age of SMSs, emails, WhatsApp, and calls. Surely we cannot go back to the world of Bahasha.
This is work in progress, Lillian.
Yeah.
It's work in progress. As we speak, we are digitalizing already all services within Posta. We will be on electronic platforms. We are not going to have manual processes. We are already, our tender has already been floated for a private sector entity to come on board to facilitate e-commerce platform. That is work in progress. So we are already embarking on that journey. It's not going to take long to turn around the Postal Corporation of Kenya. But we have to re-engineer the business model and align it to the demands of the market. And in our thinking, the only way out for the Postal Corporation of Kenya is e-commerce.
Right. Yeah. And we'll be taking questions and comments from our viewers very shortly. Waziri, we thank you for your time this evening as we look at 1 year in office, 1 year plus in office for you and your scorecard, and looking at issues around connectivity, particularly in the remote areas of this country. We're going to be taking a very short break, and when we come back, we'll come back with parting remarks from CS Owalo. Right, and as we close on our interview with Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, let's take your feedback and get his thoughts on the same. Let's take a look at what you're saying. Okay, Bwana CS, as we wait for the feedback from the Twitter audience and as well as our SMS platform, we were closing and we were waiting for your parting remarks as we close. Well,
I want to seek the support of all integral stakeholders, especially the private sector, to augment efforts of government in this digitalization agenda. We are determined to turn Kenya into an empowered and digital economy. That is our vision. And we believe that it is the only critical success factor for this country moving forward. ICT. There are no two ways about it. If we want to re-engineer our operations in all facets within our plan, ICT is the delivery platform. If we want to widen our revenue base, again, ICT is the single avenue that we have. If we want to enhance the level of revenue collection, again, digitalization is the way to go, virtual platforms. So I want to seek the support of all integral stakeholders to support us on this digitalization agenda. I believe we are on the right track, and if we pursue our agenda to a logical conclusion, based on the plan that we have, the digital superhighway within the Kenya Kwanza plan, and under guidance and tutelage of His Excellency the President, who is leading on this from the front, we believe that we will be able to position Kenya effectively in the global marketplace by way of comparative advantage.
A question here about the digitization of government services. The deadline was on the 31st of December 2023. What is the status? Indeed, because of course the deadline has elapsed, how are Mama Mbogas in the village and people in remote areas out there in Mashinani accessing the services online?
You see, one critical success factor in this digitalization agenda is sensitization. So we are also doing a lot of sensitization, working in partnership with the Ministry of Interior, telling everybody that all services have been migrated to the e-citizen platform and the procedures for accessing the services. So massive sensitization is going on. We are carrying along the Kenyan public as far as the digitalization agenda is concerned. I've already talked about facilitating universal access through internet connectivity and also the device, affordability of the device. This is a critical ingredient in this digitalization agenda, and we have also addressed that so that we are correct that anomaly in the market where a substantial proportion of Kenyans still don't have smart-enabled telephones. So we are carrying everybody.
And on the NHIF, how to seal the loopholes, particularly those within the ICT area, sealing loopholes now that the NHIF is actually going to be automated, according to the CS. At least she said that the other day. How to seal these loopholes? What would be your thoughts on that?
It's a question of making sure that all records are digitized and all transactions are digitalized. Those are the only two options available. And we are already working in partnership with the Ministry of Health to augment their efforts in this.
There was the issue of the biometrics issue. Persons said to be, enticing people at a fee for their biometrics as well, and that also posing a major risk in terms of the funds that were being paid at the NHIF.
That is something that I would leave to my sister, Susan, to comment on.
All right.
Because I don't have the full details here.
Okay. Many thanks for joining us, CS Eliud Owalo. We've been talking to Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo. A year down the line, he's spoken to us on how the country is leveraging on ICT and innovation to boost its digital economy. Many thanks, Waziri, for joining us.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Good. Look forward to seeing you again.